Okay, welcome. I'm on my bootleg microphone today, so the audio is going to be what it's going to be, but that's okay. We're here talking about how to create an incredible sex life. This is why you want to subscribe to this channel. If you're in a relationship or if you're even just dating and you want to learn from your rising sign and your descendant and that axis that it shares, specifically today for Aries Rising, this is for you, all right? A Libra Descendant, this is for you. So actually I have a friend who's an Aries and she's an Aries Ascendant, and I think it's really cool because I have a lot of personal intake to kind of give with this because I'm an Aries stellium, all right? Aries moon, Aries sun, Aries Mercury. So I think I really do understand the Aries archetype. I spent a lot of time on it myself, and I want to give to you the Aries rising in this video. And what is it like dating an Aries rising? What is it like dating an Aries man? What is it like dating an Aries woman? I know an Aries woman as a rising for this Aries sign, so I may be able to give more from that perspective. And I've done a lot of different natal readings with this axis of the Aries rising, Aries ascendant to the Libra on the 7th house. All right, so Libra in the 7th house is very important to this. First off, you already have two cardinal signs, so you have two people who are already you in general. If you're Aries rising, you're already in a forward pushing manner. Okay, you're gonna be really quick to start projects, even in dating in a space like this, relationships, or even you may be really quick to even have sex with somebody, like especially in the space of if it comes from potentially looking to please them, because that but the Libra descendant can actually slow that down a little bit because that's actually where your 7th house and your partnerships lie. But before you're at that point where you're actually looking for anything committed, that Aries rising, in my opinion, is going to be way more rambunctious and just down to kind of like fuck who they want to fuck just because they want to, not because of anything. And recognize that with Aries, like the wants and the needs are pretty much the same. All right, and the Aries rising, Aries ascendant has that boss type mentality. So they're like, look, I take what I want, I get it when I want to get it. And you know, Mars is also the ruler of Aries, so Mars is all about action. So this counts within your identity and how you identify with yourself, all right, your own consciousness. This really means that you have a high sex drive off the rip. So I want to say that Aries has a high sex drive off the rip. I do believe Libra does as well, but I will say that I think Libra has a little bit more of a superficial airy type nature to it, where that as you grow and you no longer want these pointless, I don't want to say pointless, but you no longer want to stay in this Aries rising quick hit it and quit it mentality, and you start looking for the partnership. This is where things start getting interesting when you're dating a Aries rising or even 7th house in Libra. You have that placement. Here's where things get interesting, because your biggest mission, in my personal opinion, is learning how to be bold, courageous, and emotionally vulnerable for the fact that you want a traditional love life. This is really, really crucial that I want to say that you should really check in with. You really want something traditional in a sense where you want an elegant romance, you want a beautiful partner. Your partner's going to automatically have to be beautiful. All right, with that 7th house in Libra, your partner's going to automatically need to be beautiful. That's just a given. But more than just beautiful, someone who is balanced, someone who is harmonious, someone who actually you really might attract on the downside of this, some manipulative partners, because Libra has a very manipulative streak that I think no one ever recognizes. So we have a lot of Libra energy in the sky right now. We're going into Libra season, and Libra has this ability to actually compliment you in the most beautiful, elegant, and dashing way. All right, it's an air sign. They're very good at communicating and intellectualizing ideas and concepts, but a lot of times when they give you these compliments, they're actually also throwing in a side dish of FU, right? Because Aries is kind of like the big FU type personality, and Libra's a little more elegant and more savvy with how it communicates. Aries is like, boom, bitch, I'm in your face. And Libra's like, oh, what a pretty little female dog. You know what I mean? So they both call each other a little bitch, but Libra can say it, and it'll say it in a way where it's like, you don't even know you were getting dissed. So with dating a Libra, dating the Aries in this axis, the Aries Rising, Libra Descendant, recognize for this, recognize for in your partnerships when you fall into some of these habits that also begin to potentially turn toxic in the relationship because of codependency. And I say this because Libra is so interested in desiring love. They're so in love with love when that Libra Descendant in that seventh house, that, and I have a seventh house in Venus, so I'm also speaking for myself. They're so in love with love that Libra will sometimes either leave out details or it'll more dangerously sacrifice itself in order to please the partner. So with this being an Aries rising, Aries ascendant with the Libra descendant on the seventh house, this is kind of saying Libra will actually sacrifice a part of its identity, a part of its personality, a part of its own consciousness, its own knowing, its own ego. It will literally sacrifice that. But it doesn't have to always be bad when I added the ego word in there, but it will literally sacrifice a part of that in order to create balance and harmony in the relationship. And so what happens is, I think resentment builds up in these relationships where this is when the manipulation from the Libra air sign mentality begins to build, because they're not going to be direct and bold the way the Aries will. So this is what Libra Descendant learns from an Aries rising, and Aries rising learns from Libra how to be, and I've been learning this as Aries in this Libra season coming, those Libra energy in the sky. I'm here to learn how to be a little bit more dashing, a little more elegant, a little more sophisticated, a little more fair and less selfish in the ways that I show up in my relationship, because Aries is very selfish in a sense. All right. I think it's often misconstrued of what that selfish means. In reality, it's like it's an infant. I always try to tell people this with Aries. Aries is the first zodiac. It has the mindset of an infant, so it never does anything to hurt anybody. All right. But Libra is not an infant, and Libra works more on the interpersonal side, and it's ridiculously intelligent. So it can actually intentionally hurt somebody in a passive way. Not that that's always the case, but if you have this Aries rising and this Libra descendant, the seventh house in Libra, it's something to really watch for. I want to try to get into business. You want to really, but before that, remind you like to hit the subscribe button if you're looking to create like an incredible sex life, and recognize that in order to have a really good sex life, I think this first house ascendant rising in Aries and this descendant seventh house in Libra, in almost all the ascendant descendant axis that the 12 zodiac signs will share, I think that this is where you want to look, because until you know yourself, all right, and how the world sees you, and even when you don't see yourself the way the world sees you, this is your rising, your ascendant sign, it's important to know how you show up and what you're attracted to and what you manifest in your seventh house partnerships, which is where the marriage really begins after Virgo season decides, hey, look, I can or can't deal with these mundane habits, and my mental health is at risk or it's actually supported. Then you get to the place where, okay, I could do all these daily mundane habits of a partner. Seventh house is where Libra comes in. Seventh house is the axis of marriage, contracts, business relationships, partnerships, platonic friendships, romantic love relationships, right? So in this space, it's really important to, when you're looking to create an incredible sex life, in my personal opinion, check in with this axis, because I think for this particular Aries rising sign, an incredible sex life looks like emotional vulnerability. Absolutely, because Libra is actually very impartial, and that's what it teaches Aries, how to be impartial. It's very objective, so it doesn't really allow its personal feelings to get into the way of the decisions that it ultimately makes in the end. And on the opposite side, Aries rising is like, I'm just gonna run on the passion. And Libra loves this, by the way. Libra loves the passion that the Aries brings. So here's the magic of the dichotomy, learn how to work with each other, because Libra could seem like it lacks a little passion, right? Like Libra falls in where Aries is exalted, aka the sun, Libra falls in that spot. So it's like a fallen angel almost. And it again could sacrifice parts of its own identity or personality to create balance and harmony, which is its biggest mission. All right. And on the opposite, you're gonna notice in this dynamic when you're dating, you're looking to create this incredible sex life, whether that's non-committal sex in that Leo space, or whether that's in the marriage space where Libra really starts and begins and loves to flourish. What's important to create a better sex life on this axis is it's the emotional vulnerability. Like this is the it. And also to be aware of when you become codependent, because Libra, in my personal opinion, is a very codependent sign. I think Libra is kind of where codependency begins. If I wanted to take it really serious, I would say actually Leo is where it begins, and then it progresses into Virgo, which the boundaries more so could be too strong and codependent on just serving rather than loving, if you will. And Virgo now in the descendant, Libra on the descendant now, this is where I think codependency begins, because this is the marriage. This is when things start getting into the more traditional aspects of your relationship. And because Saturn, the traditional ruler of right now of Capricorn, is also like the secondary ruler of Libra. So traditions, structures, strategies to even really balance that love life, that person you're dating, this is going to be something that comes up. You're going to always look to kind of wrap your mind and continuously think like an air sign would about how to solve problems in your relationship. So where the Aries rising can suffer is the Aries rising may not spend enough time really strategizing or even thinking beyond their initial passionate burst of fiery and abruptive energy. And what happens is, I think Aries could quit too soon. It could quit too soon when the emotional vulnerability is required. Because I think a lot of people think Aries may be more emotionally vulnerable than what they really are. But, recognize as well that Aries is the emperor, right? Aries is somebody who really is the boss. So they may not consider the feelings. Actually, in reality, a lot of times, the biggest reason they seem so selfish is they're not considering the feelings of others, right? They're considering their feelings and their needs and their wants, which doesn't really have much of a difference. So if you want to create an incredible sex life, I think that with this placement, it's important to prioritize emotional vulnerability and recognize that you really do want a long-term loving partner. And don't pretend that you want to just run on the thrills of these one night stands forever. I think this is what's critical if you want to create a better sex life in this space. Definitely book a reading with me if this is interesting for you. If you want to dive deeper, I could check in with the aspects, the conjunctions, the trines, all these other things happening in your chart, because it goes beyond just this first house, seventh house axis, this ascendant, rising, and descendant axis. But to move quickly into dating, an Aries rising, and then having that Libra 7th house space, I'm actually to subscribe, but I think that it's actually really important. I said to watch the codependency, but so I'm gonna move into the business real quick. It's really important to recognize that in business, you're gonna need some fair relations as well, right? There's Libra, you're gonna need your relationships to be balanced and harmonious. You may not be the one to always just get ahead only on your own, but you're gonna find yourself wanting to rise together in unison with your partner. So, and to keep that sex life going, recognize that money is one of the biggest reasons that people divorce, right? So if you find yourself getting too egotistical or too selfish in the space of the monies or your shared resources, or things your business within contracts and things aren't being split 50-50, you're gonna struggle. You're gonna struggle with partners who's not willing to share. You're gonna need to be able to, if you have this rising sign in an Aries, you need to learn how to share. I think this is critical to really create an incredible sex life in that dating space. Watch for, again, I gotta keep saying it over and over, watch for the codependency, all right? Watch for sacrificing yourself and your own identity and giving up parts of who you feel like you are in order to just please your partner. Because that self-sacrificing thing is very key, I think, in this particular Aries rising and the descendant. The last thing I want to kind of really think about is, I think that's it. Really, that's it. I'm gonna wrap it up right there. If you have any questions, please drop your feedback. If you're Aries rising, drop an Aries sign. Or you have a Libra 7th house anywhere, drop a Libra zodiac sign down below. Definitely try to book a reading with me if this is interesting to you. This is super general. Understand this. This is general. This isn't specific to any one person, rather than the archetype of the Aries and the Libra in this Aries rising, Aries ascendant space, as well as the Libra descendant. So thank you very much for checking in. I really love you. This is Pernell Bobby. I ask you to subscribe and to help me to get dating and loving and relating to be something that sticks. Okay, this is a big mission of mine, is really creating divine partnerships and not having people break up or give up too soon. And this Aries rising position is one of those positions where people break up, they give up too soon. There's a lot of flings happening. So recognize, with this is actually what I wanted to say, with the Libra, you can lean into your Libra who actually dates a lot. Okay, they're probably actually dating without you knowing 4 to 5 to 6 different people. So you'll recognize that you'll attract these people if you're an Aries rising very early on, and it usually is a sign that if you keep attracting these non-committal relationships where it's very superficial and you feel like you keep finding partners who have 4 or 5 different boyfriends and girlfriends, recognize that you probably have a lot of different relationships on the side that you haven't actually fully allowed to come to closure. All right, whether you're waiting for a forgiveness or an apology or whatever, or whether you're just maintaining that inconsistent friends with benefits and you're not really having an incredible sex life because you're really craving that partnership who you feel like you can bond with equally forever on a long-term base. You do want that, so don't try to lie and kid yourself. And that's what I actually wanted to say. You can lean into that Libra 7 house who will superficially date a lot of people so that they can weigh out their options. Recognize this balance beam. All right, last time asking you to again book a reading with me, like, subscribe this video, and I want to say thank you for sharing this with somebody who you know who's an Aries rising and dropping that emoji in the comments down below. Big love. See you soon.